Your federal government has brought in Bill C-10, the intent of which is to police and to censor what you say on the internet. So, if you even put out a family picnic photo and someone doesn't like it, they can go to the CRTC, it could be pulled off. Ezra Levant with Rebel News, he knows all about censorship. He joins me right now because it's unbelievable that a, quote, liberal government would bring in censorship of the internet. But is there a reason why they should?
Well, if you look at the Heritage Minister, Stephen Guilbeault, his mandate letter from Justin Trudeau, that's his official job description.
Yes.
The first point is hand out cash, like the media bailout to the newspapers. The second point is to bring in harsh penalties to social media companies that don't take down offensive content in 24 hours. It's spelled out that specifically. It's literally the second item on his to-do list. So he's doing Trudeau's will. Now, one of the things the Liberal government wants to do is to wring out Google, Facebook, YouTube, because those guys have all the dough. And I don't really care. I mean,
But this is not taxation. They can have some taxation.
That's right, but they're sneaking in that second part about the censorship. I mean, I don't care the taxes these big companies pay, but specifically meaning to regulate individual content creators. That's you and me. That's the level of censorship we've never seen before in the free world.
So you understand that sometimes there's hate material put out there, and that should not be out there. Just like you can't have that in movies or in books or in newspapers, but there's private action to deal with that. So everything being censored, including private information, private communication. I mean, should not Canadians be rising up and saying, we can't have this?
Listen, the laws that cover defamation or death threats, all of the kind of laws we would use to rein in speech that's out of control, fraud, forgery, impersonation, those laws predate the internet. They predate the radio.
And they're still valid.
That's right. And so they apply to the internet just as well. And by the way, those big tech companies we've listed, they already self-censor, I think too much, frankly. So the idea that the Heritage Minister and Justin Trudeau are going to bring in this extra layer of censorship, it's not necessary, it's politically motivated.
If they can stop President Trump, as he then was in the United States, and say, okay, we aren't going to put anything out on you, then, I mean, they do have that right of censorship themselves. So we are really having the government do it, but the bureaucrats in Ottawa.
The first version of C-10, that's the government bill, had an exemption for independent content creators. That's a fancy way of saying you and me.
And the Liberals got rid of it.
They took it out, which means that they were wittingly changing the law so it would apply to anyone on the internet. Now, I don't think they're going to go after grandma's pictures of the vacation, but they're going to go after critics and political dissidents. I believe they're going to say that's harmful speech, not illegal, but this new category called harmful, whatever that means.
Harmful to their re-election. Ezra Levant, thank you very much. 3 minutes. Our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, recently stood up in the House of Commons and prefaced his remarks by saying, and we will only work from the facts, quote, unquote, and then proceeded to lie by saying Britain was in a horrible, horrible third wave, trying to show, in fact, that Canada was not the worst in the world. Britain, though, had vaccines. Canada did not. And this was not reported in the mainstream Canadian media, the media paid for by Justin Trudeau. All of which, I'm telling you, is that it's important to have this 3-minute interview. Please subscribe, ask your friends to subscribe, and press that PayPal thing so we can continue on to bring you the news you otherwise might not know.